Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In our series of discussion on African play, we have been discussing I Will Marry When I Want to by Ngugi Thiongo and Ngugi Mirii. In the previous videos, we discussed the plot of the play, and also we discussed extensively on the characters and characterization. In fact, we discussed about 13 characters in the play. And today we are going to be looking at the themes in the play. So there are several themes in the play, and we are going to be discussing some of the major themes, about 10 of them today. So let's journey together. So one of the major themes in the play is that of exploitation. The theme of exploitation is a recurrent motif in the play as well. It runs throughout the play from the beginning, from the first act and scene to the last scene of the play. There was a lot of exploitation in the play. One of the exploitation that we notice is that the workers are extensively exploited by the owners of the companies and the directors of the factories. We saw that Kikunda was working in the farm of Koik, Ahab Koik, and he was extremely exploited in a way that he was paid a very low wage for his job. He works, he doesn't even have time for himself, but what he returned home with at the end of the month was just a very low wage. And not only him, we have Gikamba. Gikamba also was extremely exploited, working in the factory. He does not have time for himself and his wife Unjoki, but yet he was paid a very low wage. And in the play, we realized that Gikamba was aware of the exploitation. He complained bitterly that they work from the morning to night, yet there was no much payment for it. At the end, what is given to them is just a very low payment, and he complained bitterly about it. And we saw that apart from the exploitation of that, the poor generally in the post-colonial Kenyan society in this play were exploited very well by the rich. For instance, some of the poor people, their land were taken from them during the colonial rule. And at the end of colonial rule, the land supposed to be returned to the owners, to the original owners. But we saw in the play that despite that the white men have relinquished the land, have gone, and then Kenya has gotten independence, the people that the government was handed over to, the elite, the Kenyan indigenes who are elite that the government was handed over to, they also exploited the poor. They sold the land to the poor rather than giving them their land back. And even the part that we are giving to the poor, we are the ones that are not so fertile. The fertile land, we are what? Appropriated by the political elite. So there was mass exploitation. And also, there was another exploitation we see in the form of neocolonialism, because the British government that colonized, the people, the colonial masters that colonized Kenya at that time also were coming indirectly to exploit the people again. They built factories, and then they put indigenes in charge of it, people like Ahab Koik, and then they will be controlling the factories, and then they will be exploiting the masses again through labor, through at the same time paying them low wage, and also using them like slaves. So another major theme in the play is that of dispossession of land. We saw that even the little that the poor people got at the end of colonization, we saw that even the elite, they still want to take the lands from them. And we see it in the case of Gikunda and Ahab Koik, where Ahab Koik wanted to take the land of Gikumba so that he will build factory on it. You can imagine the land, and Ahab Koik have a lot of land, hundreds of acres of land. But he did not touch his own land. He was eyeing the land, which is just 1.5 acres of land that belonged to Gikumba and his family. And then at the end of it, he used the bank and used the religious marriage to take the land. When he he sacked Gikumba, and Gikumba was not able to pay the loan which he took for the Christianization of his marriage to Wangeshi, and at the end land was taken from him, and then Ahab Koiki got the lands that belonged to Gikumba. And not only that, the poor, many poor people in the play also, their land were taken from them. They were marginalized, and the land were taken. Some of them, the rich people forced them to sell the land to them. And another major theme in the play is that of awareness and realization. We saw in the play that gradually there was sense of awareness and realization of who caused the poverty and who are responsible for the plight of the masses. We saw that Gikimba keep on telling Kikunda and several other characters in the novel, in the play, that the elite are responsible for the plight of the masses. That the dispossession of their land, they did not provide the necessary facility for them to have a good standard of living, and at the same time they pay them low wage in their work. Even when the poor are employed, they still suffer as slaves because what they are being paid is very, very small. And the Kamba keep on telling the people that the problem are the elite in collaboration with the colonial masters who have gone, but they are using the means of neocolonialism to come and exploit the people. Then we saw that there is another form of realization. We saw that the Kamba was telling the Kikunda that he should not beat his wife Wangesi, that the person causing the problem between them is the masses, is the government. And then until there is revolution and the government is toppled, there may not be peace. Because after the land was taken, Kikumba was frustrated, depressed, took himself to drunk, he became a drunkard, and then he continued beating his wife to express or to while away his frustration. And we saw that it was really a challenging moment for him and his wife Wangesi, and even their daughter Gatoni, because they have lost everything, and then the only thing remaining for Kikunda was just to probably die or drink to death. And then when Kikamba came with the policy, with the philosophy that okay, the cause of the problem is the government and they should sensitize the masses for a possible revolution. And then we saw that people began to realize gradually that okay, the problem is not just the masses that are, it's not poverty. The problem is not poverty, it is the people. It is the elite in the society. And then we saw the theme of conflict. In fact, the whole play run in conflict from the beginning to the end. We have a conflict. There is conflict between Gatoni and her parents, Wangeshi and Kikunda, because Gatoni was not listening to the parent. Why Wangeshi and Kikunda were warning their daughter that okay, don't follow John Muhumi, because two of you are not of the same class, social status, and there is probability that even when you get engaged or be in relationship with him, he's not going to marry you. But Gatoni never listened to the parent to the extent that he went and spent a week with John Muhumi in Mombasa, a week without the consent of the parent. Like there's a conflict between Gatoni and John. After Gatoni got pregnant, or when John impregnated Gatoni, we saw that the conflict started between them because Gatoni wanted a marriage, but John and the parent of John, which is Ahab and Jezebel, does not want any form of marriage between John and Gatoni. They believe that they are not of the same class and they should not have anything in common. So this frustrated Wangeshi and Gekunda as well, as their daughter was pregnant and then out of wedlock, and there's no hope of getting married to John Muhumi. And then there's another conflict between traditionalists and Christians, because people like Ahab Koik and Jezebel have embraced Christianity. There was a strong problem they are creating for others, especially the poor. They don't want to relate with the poor except you convert to Christianity. And that was why Wangeshi and Gikunda decided to do Christian marriage just to please the elite like Ahab Koik, and probably hoping that that Christianization of their marriage may lead to the marriage between Gatoni and John. But unfortunately, there was no marriage between John and Gattoni at the end of the play. Then we also saw that another quarrel between Christianity and traditionalism was when Kikunda went to inform Ahab, Koik, and Jezebel that John has impregnated Gattoni, and they fought Kikunda. Jezebel came with a security man, and then he shot Kikunda, but Kikunda survived. So the surviving of Kikunda also symbolized the surviving of tradition over Christianity, or tradition surviving the cruelty of Christians in the post-colonial Kenyan society in the context of this play. There were other form of conflict in the novel as well. Apart from this, we also see that there was a conflict between Koik family and Kikunda family. Yes, because the two families could no longer be in the same page. They did not agree, as Ahab Koik have refused that Gattoni will not get married to John. So there was a problem between the two family also. So he saw that there was a lot of other conflict in the play. The integrity conflict between good and bad, corruption and transparency. Then we have theme of illusion. There were several illusions in the play, and one of the illusion was that Wangeshi was hoping that, okay, when they do the Christian marriage, when Wangeshi and Kikunda do the Christian marriage, their daughter Gattoni will be allowed to get married to John Muhumi. So that was one of the illusions. But at the end, it was just a mirage. There was no marriage between Gattoni and John Muhumi. Another illusion was that when Ahab Koik and Jezebel were coming to the house of Kikumba and Wangeshi to come and pay a visit, they were hoping that, okay, since John Muhumi and Gattoni were in a relationship, there is probability that Ahab and Jezebel were coming to come and discuss the relationship between John and Gattoni. But unfortunately, Ahab did not even mention anything like that. Jezebel did not even make any reference to their relationship, to the relationship between Gattoni and John. Rather, they were more concerned about Wangeshi and Kikumba doing a Christian marriage so that they will be accepted. They considered them as evil if they did not do Christian marriage, and their marriage, which they done in a traditional way, is illegal. And in fact, Ahab Koik considered them to be living, to cohabiting rather than a husband and a wife, and he tagged such as a sin, except the marriage is legitimatized through Christian marriage. Then we have the theme of education. The theme of education we see in the play is also a prominent theme. We see that girls are not given the chance of education. They are left at home to do domestic work or to work in the farm. We see that Gattoni was not given the benefit of education. The parents did not pay attention to her yearning to be educated. And that was one of the things that even affected her much, because when she was not educated and she was given that mentality of a woman should end in the farm or end in the kitchen or in the house of a man, then he follows John around. He accepted the relationship without minding, without care, without even thinking of her own future. So all her future was trusted to John, which betrayed her as well, because John did not even marry her and did not even care for her after impregnating Gattoni. So we saw that only boys were given that benefit of education. The girls were considered as second class people to the boys. So it is a patriarchal society where the male are given priority, and the gender sensitivity. They value the male children or the male gender more than the female gender. And even lack of education was even the reason why people like Kikunda were heavily oppressed by Ahab Koik and Jezebel, and even Undijire and others who are rich in the community. Because we saw that when Kikumba took a cutlass to confront Ahab Koik used the knowledge of education he has to influence the bank to bring back the issue of loan, and then he used that one to dispossess Kikumba of his land. And at the same time, even at that, Kikumba was still shot by the security detail, though he survived it. Then we have the theme of neocolonialism. Yes, the colonial masters claim that, okay, the African continent have gotten independence, the Kenyan society, the country Kenya have gotten independence and is now governed by fellow Kenyans. But we saw that there are traits of colonialism, neocolonialism in the government of Kenya in this play. I will marry when I want. One of it is that there was an issue of the Japanese, the Germans, the Americans building factories in Kenya. Then they put the indigenous as probably managers, and then the indigenous will use his position to oppress the masses by employing them and paying them low wages, dispossessing of their land to build factories for the neocolonialists. So we see a form of neocolonialism in the play. And then we see class struggle. There were a lot of class struggle. In fact, the reason why Gatoni and John Muhumi did not marry is as a result of class difference. It's as a result of class difference. There was class difference between John Muhumi and Gatoni. Why Gatoni belonged to the poor, John Muhumi belonged to the elite, the political elite, the rich in the society. So Ahab, Koik, and Jezebel feel that there shouldn't be any form of a union between Gatoni and John Muhumi. And at the same time, there was class difference in the relationship between Ahab Koik and Kikumba, because he saw that Kikumba is just a farmer who is even working in the farm of Ahab Koik, so he will not have a good relationship with him. He treated Kikumba as a slave, as a subordinate human being, in fact as a lesser being. And at the same time, Jezebel also treated Wangisi as non-existing thing. So it was class different. The poor, the real relationship with the poor have with the rich is that when the rich are coming to oppress them, to exploit them, there was no any other form of relationship, no basic amenities, even no safety materials, or even though they were working in factory. People like the Kamba that they were working in factory, we are working with their bare hands. They were not given facilities that will protect them in case of accident, in case of occupational accident. So it was really a class struggle. And the reason is because most of them that are poor are considered not to be of the same class with those who are rich. So we even saw Samuel Undijere and his wife Helen. Also, they were poor before, but when they engaged in trading and got rich, they began to oppress people again. They began to oppress the poor, which they were also aware before. Then we have the theme of betrayal. There were a lot of betrayal. The people fought for the independence. The Mau Mau group, most of the characters in this play engaged in the Mau Mau struggle for independence in Kenya. And then some of them were killed, some of them were in prison, some of them were wounded by the colonial master. Unfortunately, when the independence they were fighting for came, the Kenyans who took over the leadership of government betrayed those who fought for the independence. They oppressed them the same way the colonialists were oppressing them, even worse. They also treated them like as if they are not human beings, like the way the colonial masters treated them. So there were a lot of disappointment, there were a lot of betrayal in the play, because the masses have lost total hope. There was post-independence disillusionment in this play. And at the same time, we saw that even the people like Kikumba were so betrayed by people like Ahab Koik, because Ahab Koik preached Christianity to Gikumba. So Gikumba was thinking that, okay, this person is a Christian, you're not going to exploit him. And that was one of the reasons why he decided to do the Christian marriage, so that he can belong to their group. But unfortunately, the religion was used as a tool for exploitation. So it was really challenging. Then we have the last one is the theme of love. there is love between Gatoni and John Muhumi until they break up because of the pregnancy. The love between Wangechi and Kikumba was a good love. It was genuine and great. Then the love between Kikamba and his wife Unjoki was also a good love. Then we have love between Samuel Undijere and Helen. They also expressed love in the play. So there was a form of love in the novel. And then even we have love between Ahab and his wife Jezebel. So there were some of, especially the affection love, a love between man and woman, especially husband and wife, gear and boy, is dominant in the play as well. There are other themes in the novel, like the theme of poverty. We have poverty, all the masses are very poor, people like Gikumba, so poor. Then we have the theme of revolution, which Gikumba, Gikamba, and some others were warming and then singing for moving, raising the people up, or educating the people on the need for revolution. Then we have other themes again, like the theme of industrialization also is there.